What is this? On April 5th, 2024, the Round 1 arcade near Dallas will host a huge rhythm game tournament, the Big Deal 4. I'll explain one specific part that led up to it, the qualifiers for the games Dance Dance Revolution and Pump It Up. Most people are aware how DDR works. Arrows move towards the targets in time with a song, and the player must hit the corresponding arrow panel. What's lesser known is the two ways the game evaluates the player, machine score and EX score. Machine score is more common and assigns a value to each of these accuracy ratings. Compared to the best one of Marvelous, a perfect is a loss of 10 points, while great or below loses several hundred or thousands of points. So as long as you're within 33 milliseconds of hitting the arrow, your score will be pretty high. EX score is simpler and uses much smaller values. It heavily emphasizes Marvelous rating, as a steep drop-off between perfect and great is gone. Now the emphasis on the narrow 16 millisecond accuracy is even higher. To summarize, for machine score, a perfect loses a bit of value, but in EX score, a perfect loses 33% of value. In almost every tournament nowadays, the EX score determines the winner, so even if your machine score is high with a bunch of perfects, that's impressive, but not good enough at the high levels of play. Well, challenge accepted. Now we know how EX score works, let's check out those qualifiers. For DDR, there were two sets of qualifiers. Set A consisted of two intermediate difficulty charts. They could be attempted as many times as possible until the deadline, and they did not have to be done consecutively. All you had to do was play your songs and send pictures of your scores to the tournament organizers. Set A was required for all participants. However, if you reached a certain threshold of EX score, which was the maximum minus 50, you would be eligible to submit Set B qualifiers and would be seated higher than those who could only submit Set A. Like Set A, Set B could be attempted as many times as desired, but consisted of higher level songs and had the added restriction that they had to be played on the same machine credit, back to back. While I consider myself a pretty decent player, I knew that I had to focus more than usual to hit Marvelous more consistently. I'll now let my Set A footage dump speak for itself, and resume explanation afterwards.
Minus 20. There we go.
I had done it. The 2 hours I spent in a row playing Condor that day paid off, and I celebrated by ending the day with an initial attempt at Set B. I went on to do 5 more serious attempts of Set B, with some practice on individual songs on the side, until the qualifiers ended on March 24th, about 2 weeks before the actual event. The current footage playing now shows samples of my final qualifier submission, which happened to be my best one. I also had time to slide in some practice on other songs, as the tournament was certainly not all about the qualifiers, as there are several hundred songs in the game to choose from. I'll let the last bit of the Set B footage play out, as I still want to discuss the Pump It Up qualifiers afterwards.
Oh wow, that is massive. Reduction of perfect scores.
My final total EX score of 6020 put me in 33rd seed out of 110 players. Personally, I'm happy for my successful grind to qualify for Set B, plus a very high ratio of Marvelous judgments for Night of Nights. Now, it was time to study as many level 14 above charts until the event. Let's cover Pump It Up now. While I've been less focused on this one lately, it is still dear to my heart, as it was my first rhythm game tournament in person. Basically, it's like DDR but uses 5 panels instead of 4, and now has a scoring system similar to DDR's machine score. The qualifiers are a single pool of 7 songs with varying difficulties, and you may attempt any or all of them in any order. For the qualifiers at the Big Deal, there's also a separate ranking formula, which takes into account both the machine score and the chart's difficulty rating to obtain the ranking points for that song. The 2 songs with the highest ranking points will be added together to determine your final qualifier standing. In my case, I could score relatively accurately up until difficulty 21, and barely scrape by some 23s. Indeed, my top 2 songs were at those difficulties. This would put me at 23rd seed out of 63, which also indicates that the chart difficulties in that tournament pool will start at around 21 and 22 difficulty. Yep, sounds about right, I guess. Time to review as many charts as I can before then. As the footage of me playing Windmill plays out, a few parting thoughts. Though I covered the qualifiers, I haven't mentioned the actual structure of the tournaments yet, which is based on a waterfall bracket in both tournaments. There's also, all the other rhythm games out there, which I also enjoy, but covering the actual tournament, which should be happening soon at the time of this video, is a story for another time. For now, I'm excited to be hanging out in Texas, hopefully recording the events there and seeing how well I can do. Hopefully this video has shed a little light on the world of competitive rhythm gaming. Thanks so much for watching.